It's like a different part of me that it just wants nothing but destruction and evil. It wanted to kill somebody. Think of what it might be as Satan.
Someone here is talking about the details of a murder, but there's something strange about the way he's speaking. It's almost as if he's describing a stranger who had taken control of his life a long time ago. It took him 1.5 years to finally say these words out loud, but not in an interrogation room and not under pressure from the police. He confessed in the middle of a church, standing in front of the very people who had spent 18 months searching for the killer who had haunted their small town. Friday, May 13th, 2016. In a rural area of Brown County, a 25-year-old woman named Shanti Blankenship left her house for her usual evening walk just before sunset. Before it got completely dark, she called her grandfather, Charlie, and told him she was on her way home.
She says, I'm walking. And that's not what she said. That's just about the others.
The sky grew darker, but Chantal never came back. Charlie got into his truck and drove through the nearby roads again and again. There was no sign of his granddaughter. The following morning, after receiving a call from the Blankenship family, police learned that Chantal had disappeared and immediately launched an investigation. News spread quickly throughout the community. Within hours, a volunteer search party made up of neighbors and members of the local church began searching for her. The first clue in almost every missing persons case comes from the last confirmed sighting. So investigators started with one crucial question. Who was the last person to see Chantal Blankenship alive? Based on witness statements, detectives reconstructed Chantal's final known hours. According to the timeline, her boyfriend, possibly fiancé, John Adams, picked her up from the Monte Carlo Cafe and drove her to Charlie's house. The two of them took showers there, and at around 6 o'clock in the evening, John left for work while Chantal headed out for her evening walk.
Her grandpa also, right before we got to the end of the street, said, "Hey, it's getting dark." She was like, "It's okay, Papa, I'll be home soon."
It appeared that Chantal's close friend Caitlin had been walking with her that night. Caitlin later told investigators that after Chantal finished speaking with her grandfather on the phone, the two separated roughly 1 kilometer away from Chantal's home.
She was laughing and just took off running.
Down the road?
Yes, down the road.
2 days passed. The investigation continued with no breakthroughs and no meaningful leads. Then 2 local residents, Charlie and Jackie, decided to expand the search area. They drove about 8 kilometers outside the town to check around an abandoned house, a place everyone in the area called the Haunted House. Just a few minutes later, the local sheriff's office received an emergency call.
What's the location of your emergency? I have no idea where I'm at. I'm in the middle of nowhere. We're looking for contact leadership. Okay. We found her. Is she okay? Is she needing medical attention? Yes, she's alive. She's dead.
According to the official crime scene report, the first responding officer documented 3 critical pieces of evidence: several strands of human hair caught on the wire fence, a colorful bracelet lying among the tall weeds, and fresh tire tracks pressed into the dirt.
There's good tire tracks that just dead end at the gate and back out, and then there's spin out marks, like someone's been through it recently or something. The peel out marks were already here. These aren't y'all's?
No.
Just a few yards from the abandoned house stood a storm shelter, a small underground bunker commonly built in Texas as protection from severe storms. Right in front of its entrance, investigators found another colorful bracelet, a perfect match to the first one. Then they entered the shelter.
I walked around in the house. I didn't see nothing in there and went to all the outbuildings.
Yeah.
And I was coming back and that storm shelter there had a bunch of grass knocked down. So I went around and looked and there she is. She's upside down in there. And she is beat. I got a daughter that age. Nobody.
Chantal's body was found lying face down on the stairs. She was wearing nothing but a t-shirt. There was extensive bleeding around her head and face. As investigators continued processing the crime scene, they also recovered a blood-covered lawnmower blade lying near the body.
We were both riding around looking for her. everybody met at 3 at the church to go look for her, and we were just driving around.
In many homicide investigations, the location where the body is found tells its own story. When a victim is discovered in a remote, isolated place, it usually points to one of two possibilities. Either the killer was local and knew the area extremely well, or they were so desperate and terrified after the murder that they simply searched for the first place hidden from everyone else. A storm shelter beneath an abandoned house that nobody ever visited fits that profile perfectly.
Let's stay over here on the rocks and not walk around where there's any footprints.
Don't let them leave there till I get out there, please.
Officers immediately secured the scene. Crime scene photographers documented every detail. Chantal's body was transported to the Tarrant County Medical Examiner's office for an autopsy. This is a summary of the autopsy report that was later delivered to the lead detective on the case. The cause of death was determined to be severe, blunt force trauma to the head, face, and neck. Her larynx had been fractured. Investigators also noted a strange mark on the victim's chest, but its exact cause could not be determined. The medical examiner confirmed evidence of both strangulation and sexual assault. Investigators also recovered a male DNA profile from the victim's body. At this point, it was unquestionably the most important piece of evidence in the entire case. That same day, the news reached the local church. Officers went there to inform the volunteer search party that this was no longer a missing persons case. It was now officially a homicide investigation. What's remarkable is that, at that very moment, the killer was standing somewhere among that crowd.
In the city church, Mordecai. Pastor? Are you, sir? Hey, folks, could you have your attention just a minute? If you believe you have information that will assist in this investigation, I ask you don't discuss it with anybody else. I want your recollections to be your own. We'll be speaking to you as we get to you, all right?
If we look at this case the way a criminal profiler would, there are 4 key indicators we need to put together. The victim was an extremely low-risk target with an exceptionally high level of vulnerability due to a developmental disability. According to reports, Chantal learned to walk and speak later than most children. Then, at a certain point, her development essentially stopped progressing. She was under 150 centimeters tall and weighed around 40 kilograms. She had attended school, but her reading and writing abilities were limited to only a few simple words. She didn't drive. She didn't have a job. All of this meant her ability to physically resist an attacker was almost non-existent. More importantly, from a legal standpoint, she would likely have been considered an unreliable witness. Even if she had survived, her testimony could easily have been challenged in court. The killer may very well have known that. On top of that, Chantal wasn't a random target. Everyone living in that town knew exactly where she went every evening for her daily walk. Some elements of the crime scene were clearly organized. The killer had access to a vehicle. He transported the victim approximately 8 kilometers. He deliberately chose a remote location, and afterward, he removed part of the victim's clothing. But on the other hand, the scene also contained several disorganized elements. The body wasn't hidden. The murder weapon was left behind. The killer's DNA remained on the victim. And despite the massive amount of blood and blood spatter, there was absolutely no attempt to clean the scene. This combination points to an offender who had a plan for abducting and killing the victim, but clearly had no plan for what came afterward. The lawnmower blade, according to investigators, definitely did not belong to the abandoned property. The place had been vacant for years. Nobody was cutting grass there. The weapon belonged to the killer. But here's what's interesting. No one chooses a lawnmower blade as a murder weapon. No one walks around carrying one for the purpose of killing someone. It's far more likely that the blade had already been inside the killer's vehicle. And that gives us a possible clue about his occupation. A man driving a pickup truck or another vehicle filled with landscaping equipment. Perhaps a seasonal lawn care worker. That would also explain why he left the blade behind. In his mind, it probably wasn't something that could be traced back to him. The severe blows to the head, face, and neck, combined with the fractured larynx, suggest that the killer wanted to destroy the victim's identity. This pattern is often seen in murders where the offender personally knows the victim. In the middle of the attack, he can no longer bear looking at the victim's face. The strangulation is a separate issue altogether. It takes time. It requires close physical contact, which means this was not a quick killing. Then there's that unexplained mark on the victim's chest. We should take it seriously. The most likely explanation is that it was left by either the killer's shoe or his knee, meaning he either stood on the victim or knelt on top of her. If it was a shoe impression, it would become the most important piece of physical evidence in the case after the DNA. Now let's go back to the moment when Caitlin, Chantal's close friend, introduced a new name into the investigation, a name that completely changed the direction of the case.
She told me Colin told her to meet him in the shed behind his house that night and not to tell anyone.
It now appeared that the last person to see Chantal alive might actually have been Colin, a young man who happened to live very close to Chantal's house. He was in his 20s. He worked a variety of jobs. One of them, coincidentally, was lawn care. He and Chantal had a good relationship. In fact, they would occasionally spend time together and go for drives. Police decided to go to Colin's house and ask him one simple question. When was the last time you saw Shanti Blankenship alive?
How you doing, sir? I'm Jason Shane with the Texas Ranch. What's your name?
Probably around the last time we seen her, it was around 6:37. I had her change my number because she would call it from like 6:30 in the morning to like midnight at night. Just call, hang up, call, hang up, call, hang up.
Like a high school girl.
Yeah.
Did y'all have any type of physical relationship at all? So never.
Colin claimed that Chantal had a one-sided romantic interest in him, while he had never wanted a relationship with her. Investigators couldn't verify whether his story was true, so they asked him to come to the sheriff's office and take a polygraph examination. Although he insisted he was telling the truth, he eventually agreed. Here's where things became interesting. The moment the polygraph was connected, Colin changed his story. He admitted, yes, he and Chantal had been involved in a romantic relationship.
Why are we here today, Colin?
Well, we want to find out who the murderer is. I want to prove to them that it ain't me. We thought we were dating, you know. Once everybody started telling me that she did have a boyfriend at home and stuff, John Adams. And I left her alone.
When's the last time you've been with her?
A couple weeks ago.
The polygraph results suggested that Colin was being deceptive when answering several of the most important questions. Of course, as we know, a polygraph measures heart rate, blood pressure, perspiration, and breathing. For investigators, it's primarily a psychological tool rather than definitive evidence. But regardless, the contradictions only deepened police suspicions, and the more pressure Colin was placed under, the more defensive he became.
Did you physically cause the death of Shanti?
No.
You don't know.
I don't know what happened.
How she died.
Not at all.
You don't know what kind of weapon was used. Okay. I've done a lot of these tests, and I'm looking at this, and I'm showing deception. Okay. I'm telling you right now that something is causing issues on this, and I want to get down to the bottom of it. If you didn't kill her,
I have no idea. I didn't do it. Bottom line. I've already done it.
well, you still want to cooperate, right?
Yeah, don't make me have to be the bad guy here. No way on serious problem. I will hire a lawyer.
I don't give one way or another if you're going to hire one. Do not sit there and try to threaten me with I'm going to hire a lawyer. You're the one that's in here cooperating, are you not?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I thought you said we were done.
Okay. Go ahead and put your hands together, please.
I thought you said we were done. I'm sorry.
Where did you stay that night?
I was in my brother's living room. Fall asleep watching basketball game.
The interview eventually reached a dead end. Then Colin's family confirmed that he had been somewhere else on the day Chantal disappeared. Since the information came only from family members, it couldn't be considered reliable evidence. At the same time, investigators had nothing that could disprove it. For now, Colin's name was moved into the gray area of the suspect list. The next step was interviewing several other potential suspects, including Charlie and Jackie, the same couple who had discovered Chantal's body. Investigators wanted to know why they had decided to search around an abandoned house in the middle of nowhere. Charlie's interview came first. Right away, he told detectives that around noon on the day Chantal disappeared, he had seen her in the area.
A white shirt was kind of faded. Daisy Duke shorts on. Me and Jackie stopped. We said ever did, ever covered all the way around. I walked over to the galvanized gate and I dropped up on it from looking at the house. And Jackie, she comes up behind me. She pointed with her foot. She said, "What is that?" I got down close to it and I read it. I said, "Jackie, that's human hair." That's my shop through the fence and I went to the house.
Charlie explained that he had once heard his children talking about the abandoned house. That day, he simply wondered whether Chantal might have gone there and whether something terrible had happened to her.
Jackie asked me, she said, "Is she dead?" I said, "Yeah, she's dead." I said, "I heard her on the phone." Said, "It sure Shantae?" I said, "Yeah, it's her."
Did you touch her?
No, I didn't touch her.
Why do you think somebody would kill her?
Her. I said, "Well, how about you do something like that?"
Police later administered a polygraph examination. The results showed no signs of deception. The same was true for his wife, Jackie.
Did you participate in killing Shantae?
No.
Did you kill Shantae?
No.
Next came the suspect investigators had expected to question much earlier, Chantal's boyfriend, John Adams. Detectives believed John might have discovered Chantal's secret relationship with Colin, and that jealousy could have been the motive for murder. A few days after Chantal's body was found, John agreed to let investigators search the home they shared.
Can we go inside? Is this where y'all live in here?
Yeah.
Is there anything missing out of here?
No.
Can we have this brush? Go dump this out. So she goes everywhere with her purse, but she just didn't have her purse today?
John's behavior immediately stood out. He never asked a single question about the details of what had happened. For the investigative team, that silence became a question in itself, because in situations like this, showing no reaction is, in itself, a reaction. That cold, emotionless lack of curiosity could mean one of two things. Either he already knew exactly what had happened, or his psychological defense mechanisms were preventing him from processing the horror of it all.
And normally, boyfriends are like going to be the number one suspect a lot of times. And also a lot of times when we do these, we do find another suspect. But when we do find the real killer, then we could say, "Oh, we covered that base."
Then investigators discovered something else that seemed suspicious: a small graveyard of old lawnmowers.
Man, do you guys have a lawn care service or something? What is that? That hammer for pulling out nails or something?
Since the victim had been murdered with a lawnmower blade, police suspicion toward John intensified. They decided to continue questioning him under pressure.
So the last time you talked to him on the phone,
Yeah.
is that what time you have to be at work? Are you supposed to be with at 6 or?
Varligt 9. Last show at Sydney for the child is still for laser.
You're supposed to go work at 9.
Yeah, no, I've still told the power here.
John said he had gone to work at 6 o'clock that evening and returned home around 5 the following morning, only to discover Chantal was missing. Security cameras at the local restaurant where he worked, along with his time card records, confirmed his timeline. Now detectives had to ask him about Chantal's alleged secret relationship with Colin.
That's when you covered she wasn't there.
Yeah, I blamed Charlie.
Did you start calling her phone?
Yeah, I called her phone again. This side,
Yeah, you had a girlfriend?
Nah.
You have a girlfriend?
I'm gonna throw this hot pedic with it. I'm available.
Did she ever tell you that she had been sexually intimate with anybody else?
First thing to me about now, I asked her.
Did she say no, or did she just avoid the contact?
Avoid contact and like that,
When investigators told John what Colin had claimed, he insisted he had known nothing about any of it. At this point, it appeared that John himself may have been the victim of betrayal, and there was no evidence linking him to the murder. In fact, the evidence supported his innocence. There was no legal reason to keep him in custody. But later that same night, a forensic examination of John's cell phone revealed that before coming to the sheriff's office, he had deleted several text messages. Investigators couldn't determine what those messages contained, so they asked him to return the following day for another interview.
Or do you delete your text messages?
Yeah.
Okay. And apparently you deleted some yesterday before you showed up.
I was waiting her to...
No, that's not what these text messages that you deleted. And you know what I'm talking about because you even told somebody, hey, my phone's clean.
I smoke weed and I just don't want that. And I think that would be in here.
John insisted he had only deleted messages exchanged with his drug dealer because he didn't want them causing him legal trouble. After a more detailed forensic examination, investigators confirmed that he was telling the truth. Pushing him any further wasn't going to accomplish anything. Police had heard from one of Chantal's friends that John could be controlling and that the couple argued frequently because Chantal often resisted that control. But investigators found no solid evidence that those arguments had ever turned physically violent. John was removed from the list of primary suspects. Even so, his name remained in the gray area. It was at this point that another name landed on the investigator's desk. One of the church members told police that on the day Chantal disappeared, they had seen a red and white Ford Bronco in the same area where she had vanished. After looking into it, investigators discovered that there was only one vehicle matching that description in the entire region. It belonged to a young man named Bobby Souza. Bobby told detectives that on the night of the murder, while he was out driving around, he happened to see Chantal, but he insisted he had nothing to do with her disappearance. He also added that later that night, he attended a party, and several people could confirm that he had been there the entire evening.
I understand you guys gotta do your job.
If it did have something to do with this, you need to let me know now.
I would have told you day one.
The interviews of dozens of suspects, the extensive investigation, the examination of every possible scenario, and the pursuit of countless leads ultimately led to one thing: nothing. Then the lab results came back. Not only did none of the 30 people who voluntarily provided DNA samples match the profile recovered from Chantal's body, there wasn't a single matching profile anywhere in the local DNA databases. Time passed. Chantal's funeral was held. Meanwhile, the killer was still out there, walking free, and the investigation had gone completely cold. Then, in the middle of 2017, a retired investigator from Brown County happened to be watching a true crime television program. That's when he learned about a new DNA technology, something called snapshot DNA phenotyping, a method that claimed it could predict a person's physical appearance from their DNA. A company in Virginia called Parabon claimed it could reconstruct an approximate facial image using only a tiny amount of DNA. Investigators decided to send the male DNA profile recovered in Chantal's case to Parabon, hoping it might finally reveal what the killer looked like. The test cost approximately $3,600, more money than the sheriff's office could afford on its own. After requesting financial assistance from the district attorney's office to cover half of the expense, the DNA sample was finally released by the medical examiner and sent to Parabon. 5 months later, the results arrived at the Brown County Sheriff's Office. The profile predicted a white male, blue eyes, brown hair, and facial features consistent with European ancestry. Police released the image during a press conference, hoping someone would recognize the face. This time, it worked. The moment Chantal's half-brother saw the image, he immediately thought of someone from his school days, a former bully named Ryan Riggs. What made it even more interesting was that around the same time Chantal disappeared, Ryan had just started working a lawn care job. Even stranger, he hadn't just participated in the volunteer search efforts, he had also attended Chantal's funeral. Police immediately went to Ryan's house, but he was gone. His parents told investigators they hadn't heard from him in nearly a week. Officers searched for several days, but they couldn't find him. Then, completely out of nowhere, everything changed. November 17th, 2017, just before the church's regular Wednesday evening service, Ryan suddenly appeared. He arrived with his parents. He asked the pastor for permission to confess in front of the congregation. The pastor agreed.
In his brokenness, he said that I need to make things right with you, but more importantly, I need to make things right with God and with my church family. And he said, I need to confess something to you. And he said, I murdered her.
When the confession was over, the pastor turned Ryan over to law enforcement. What happened next was one of the most unusual interrogations in the entire case. In the interview room, the lead investigator and a Texas Ranger sat across from Ryan Riggs. What made this interrogation different from almost every other homicide interview was that there was no denial. Ryan went straight to the point.
You good? You okay? Sheriff just gave me a call a little while ago and said that you got something off your chest, and we're just gonna see if you can tell us what you got off your chest.
I'm the one who murdered Shanti Blankenship. When did this happen?
On May 13th.
Tell me about that day. How did you start that day out?
It was just like an average day to me. Until I did what I did, and I had seen her just immediately. It was like something else would come over me.
How did you know Shanti?
Well, she was widely known in that community, so everyone knows everyone out there. Sometimes I feel like she liked me and she was always trying to flirt, but didn't want anything to do with it.
When you say she would flirt with you, what would she do?
She would just joke and just talk and laugh.
Right.
She wasn't easy to live with.
I think that's because she was a small girl or because she had the mental problems or both?
Fakturas ng Angelo. Just one evil out of nowhere. I just put my left arm around her and began to strangle her. She had passed out.
Ryan said he saw Chantal standing near a mailbox. He offered her a ride, and Chantal accepted. The two of them drove around for a while, listening to music. Then, according to Ryan, something else took control of him. Without any warning, he wrapped his arm around Chantal's neck and began choking her. After that, he became afraid that if she survived, she would tell everyone what had happened and get him into trouble. So he decided he had to get rid of her.
Up into the abandoned house, and I dragged her body out of my truck. Then I threw her over that fence, and then climbed over the fence and dragged her to that tank battery where I went back to my truck and got a lawnmower blade out of the back of my truck. And I went back to where she was, and I buried her death with it to make sure that she was dead.
Do you think she was dead before that?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Why do you not think so?
Because the parts of her body were still building into each other.
Were her eyes open or closed?
Her eyes were open, but they were open the entire time.
No. Did you use anything else hitting her besides the lawnmower blade?
I remember putting a knife to her throat, even though it wasn't sharp at all. I had stoned on her chest as well. It's like this different part of me that it just wants nothing but destruction and evil. They were going to kill somebody, and whenever I saw her that day, it took over.
What is it? Your destructive side, is that what you're talking about?
Something like that, think of what it might be, Satan.
Ryan admitted that he had spent years using and selling methamphetamine. However, he claimed that he was not under the influence of drugs on the day of the murder. He went on to say that he had previously made an unsuccessful attempt to take his own life. He also spoke about a history of mental illness within his family and about being sexually abused by one of his relatives when he was younger. Then came another deeply disturbing detail. Ryan said that as a child, he had repeatedly tried to drown the family's small dog in a bucket of water. As we know, cruelty toward animals during childhood is considered one of the 3 components of the well-known McDonald triad in criminal psychology. The other 2 are persistent bedwetting beyond the typical age and an unusual fascination with setting fires and acts of destruction. By themselves, none of these behaviors prove anything, but when they appear together, they are frequently seen in cases involving extreme violence later in life. Now, let's move on to the trial.
Why did it take you 1.5 years to confess, Mr. Riggs? Why did it take you 18 months to confess?
I'm not paid.
Seeking the death penalty is a lengthy legal process. It requires multiple court proceedings and significant financial resources. For that reason, Chantal's family reached an agreement with the prosecution. They chose not to pursue the death penalty. Instead, they wanted the fastest possible resolution, a sentence of life imprisonment. Finally, on February 15th, 2019, Ryan Riggs formally pleaded guilty to first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Today, Ryan is 28 years old. He is serving that sentence at the All Red Unit in Iowa Park, Texas.
Hey everyone, I don't know if everybody knows, but we caught him. We got him tonight for a capital murder trial. God has blessed us with him, and it breaks my heart because this man went to church with her, and he's just a kid himself. But I wanted everyone to know that we appreciate everything you have done, and